finance, considering that he is a chartered accountant, but currently since 2018 he is the Chief Executive Officer of the Community Conservation Fund of Namibia. Mr. Tapiwa Makiwa will speak to us about the wildlife credits, so please give him a warm welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Somebody to help me reduce this. I think some of us are vertically challenged a little bit. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tapiwa Makiwa, as mentioned. The name and the surname kind of rhymes. I don't know what they were trying to achieve a number of years ago. Nevertheless, I'm here to speak to you. Thank you so much to the Hotel School for giving us the opportunity. I think, yes, the topic is there. Prof gave a very good kind of background that feeds into this next topic, and I hope I will do as well justice as he did to what we are trying to achieve, or the concept of wildlife credits. All right, let me just try to get mine. Excellent. Okay. Super. All right. I'll cover a couple of issues quickly to get to the thrust of what we are trying to discuss today. All right. So my name is Tapiwa. I am the CEO of the Community Conservation Fund of Namibia. I'll talk about what that is, but I'm also privileged to be serving as the Vice President of the Consortium of African Funds for the Environment. So this is what CCFN is about briefly, because that's not really what we're here to discuss. Briefly, CCFN is a conservation trust fund. Our job is to bring in funding from various sources, so be it philanthropy, be it bilateral donors, be it impact investors, be it just general donations from everybody, CSR, ESG investments, whatever the case may be, and other issues, other kind of funding sources, to put into what we call the Community-Based Natural Resource Management Program in Namibia, CBNRM. Some of you have heard about it. I'll also talk about it a little bit later on, all right? We plow that money into the end beneficiary is the communities and the communal forests or other community-based organizations that deal with two main things. The first one is environmental conservation, all right? So it's about the environment. And then the second one is our people. It's communal development, okay, and upgrade, poverty reduction, etc. A lot of us kind of, I know it's based on maybe some lingual patterns. We refer to the environment and nature as a third party. You are part of nature. We are part of nature. We are the environment as well. So a lot of the time and we should make sure that the environment is. We forget we are just but mammals as well. All right, keep that in mind. Hence the need for coexistence and us sustainably making sure that what we refer to as environment and nature coexists and continues to survive just as much as we, as just but a part of it, also continue to survive and benefit. All right. What we do at CCFN, I wish I had a mobile mic. I don't like standing. Excellent, thank you. 1, 2. All right, excellent. So what we do at CCFN is we get money, as I said, from various investors, donors, as they call them, but we prefer to call them investors because they're actually investing in something with a return. There is a return, a very significant return. A lot of companies make 15%. I'm an accountant. If you get a 15% net profit, oh, excellent. All right? The environment and the economy is actually doing way, way better. Okay. So community conservation gets money from investors into the fund, either through an endowment fund, so we get money that we have as capital fund and we invest and continue to utilize, or as a sinking fund, so it's project-related funding we use for specific purposes until it goes down. We have identified 3 key, they're not the only ones, they are the 3 key issues we deal with. The first one in the middle, I'll start with the one in the middle, is human-wildlife conflict mitigation. You heard about elephant, but it's not the only problem-causing species. There are other problem-causing species in Namibia. If you are trying to promote the coexistence of humans with wildlife and a balance, you need to ensure the issues around that conflict are mitigated. All right, so we're pouring money into human-wildlife conflict mitigation. We can talk about that on another day. We're also pouring money into something that, I should correct that, it used to be termed minimum support package. We've termed it a critical support package. So it's about identifying critical services we need to finance to ensure that the CBNRM program continues. So for example, game cards, right? Somebody talked about hunting. If you look at the science behind the hunting, there has to be a basis as how you allocate those quotas. You don't just decide how many animals are in this area, all right? So financing those are very expensive surveys. Financing that, financing anti-poaching exercises, financing game management utilization plans, financing conservancy kind of activities, meetings, etc., the governance, the financial management. So there are critical support services that we help to finance through various civic society organizations. Some of you have heard of NAXO, and the members under NAXO. So our role there is to find funding to fund those activities on the ground to make sure the program continues to go, and then also to explore and enhance and further the aspect of payments for ecosystem services within communal conservancies in Namibia, which is the topic we are going to talk about today. All right. As I said, CAFE, on the other hand, is a consortium of about 19 African countries plus that are also look to do, so it's CTFs, conservation trust funds in those 19 African countries that collaborate to try and promote. So what we are trying to do here in terms of wildlife credits, we are also currently trying to push for it in terms of modeling in those 19 countries. Generally, in terms of conservation, Namibia has about 21% of its area total. So those brown areas, the darker brown areas, are national parks. So state protected areas, essentially. Whilst about another 21% roughly is actually communal conservancies and community forest. So it's community-based natural resource management, making the total area of the country under one form of conservation or another 42%, exceeding the 30%, 30 by 30 goals that the world is setting. We are far ahead. On a voluntary basis, not by somebody telling us what to do. We are already at 42%. The question is, how do we finance and continue to maintain and regenerate that into the medium to long term? We've got CBNRM. CCFN works with other organizations there, within that other 21% under communal management. The protected areas, in the current way we run things in Namibia, is mostly the responsibility of the government. All right. So if you go into the national park, you'll find soldiers guarding. You find soldiers doing the anti-poaching. They're under the government. All right, it's a protected, state-protected area. In the communities, on the other hand, 16 million hectares of communal land that covers, our national anthem says, contrasting beautiful. Contrasting, very different. And this is, whoever did this national anthem, I think, had actually gone through the country, because as you will see in the next slide, right, we've got areas with wetlands. Somewhere up in the Zambezi, we've got the savanna woodlands as well. Elsewhere, brown, not green. We have brown, rugged Kunene, where we've got quite a lot. Or even brown now, if there's anything like that. All right. So it is really contrasting in terms of the beauty we have in this country. And in these communal areas, this is led and done by grassroots community members. It's not state funded. It's grassroots game guards, fish guards, etc. Normal people like you and I that are protecting the wildlife for the benefit of everybody. What is wildlife credits in Namibia? Wildlife credits is an initiative that seeks to pay the wildlife stewards for protecting wildlife and wildlife habitat. As I mentioned, these are community people. They're the ones taking care of this for us. They are offering this service to pay back for what the environment is giving to us. So it is basically a mechanism that recognizes wildlife stewards. Quite a lot of the times that you use the word credit, because of the advent of the carbon credits that has been, very topical over the last couple of years, really, there's an element of, oh, you have to destroy something, and then no, that's not it. We're saying we need to credit and acknowledge the people who are protecting this for us because they are offering us a service. Hence that term credit. All right, and the payment is performance-based, which is a very good initiative because quite a lot of our conservation work before has been based on the premise of, I make a promise, I work in the civic sector, I make a promise, I say, I will try to do this. I get money from a bilateral funder. I try. The results really, well, but I've tried and I've spent the money, it's gone. I tried. Okay. Do we have an actual monitoring and evaluation system that says, listen, do you really deserve this money? All right. So we're kind of shifting the game here and saying, listen, we are going to make a payment out on the basis of a performance criteria we have agreed on. All right. That way we try to kind of assure the results and the purpose for which the money has been given. I'm going to give an oversight of what we say payments for ecosystem services in terms of wildlife credit. So what we have done, for you to be able to do this in terms of the community aspect, it means first and foremost, the community has to set aside land. So the CBNM program is based on a community actually setting aside a certain portion of land as a core wildlife zone. They are saying, we as a community agree we are not going to settle there, or we're not going to farm there. We're going to leave it to regenerate. And that's a core wildlife zone. We've termed this a wildlife landscape. Just by dedicating that portion of land, the community has forgone something. Those who do economics, I think that's called what? Cost forgone, fine. But what's the opportunity? Opportunity cost. Okay, good. Why? The professor talked about a corridor recently, an elephant corridor. I want you to imagine a piece of land that elephants have been passing by every year and leaving their excretions there. For a farming community, how fertile that land could be if they fenced it off and decided, this is our land, it's not government land, it's our community land, we're just going to farm in it. We don't care about the movement of the elephants. All right. But the community have said, listen, we agree we're not going to settle in this, we're not going to farm into this, we're going to leave it for nature. And we are going to monitor and put the effort to ensure that no one comes into poach. We're going to make sure sometimes they actually invest in water where it's dry in Namibia. We make water holes in core wildlife areas for animals to thrive. So we need to determine how much that's worth and give a best payment at least for that as a starting point. Thereafter, we have built on what we call certain species products. And for now, we have selected the high value species. All right. If we have dedicated the land, and on the other hand, we can see the actual thriving of certain key species, then I think we are doing good. All right. Of course, but that should be related to the effort in terms of us actually doing patrols. And how much can we then compensate and pay to the communities? Now the beauty with this as well is, and we learned this, during COVID, a lot of our communities were reliant on tourism income. The tourist numbers dwindled. All right. However, this is something that can work even in the absence of feet on the ground. That is, you heard, if there are too many, actually cause also a little bit of destruction. So the question is, we have valued what we've got. Our competitive advantage is our landscapes and our species. And we've come up with various models. I'll give you an example, just an illustration. I think I have 45 minutes, Madam, is that correct? Okay, please keep me. I also happen to talk a lot sometimes. so please remind me. All right, so I'll go back. Here we go. All right. So for example, this is just an illustration of one of the pricing mechanisms where we are saying, what is the size of the wildlife area that has been left to regenerate? And we give it a proxy value. In this case, if the area is suitable, in Namibia we have either you're going to be doing animal production or you're going to be cropping, essentially. So if it's suitable for animal production, the question is, that means you're foregoing the potential livestock value. So we calculate a carrying capacity per animal of that land. We give it a value. There are meat values, for example, that are available meat board. And then we find a proxy value that you are foregoing. We also look at a biodiversity index. Sorry, my slides keep moving there. All right, a biodiversity index. So what are the natural, what is the natural kind of, the endemic plants and animals in that area? That way we then determine a value for that. And we then indicate through certain presence of key species. So it's an additionality that we are putting. To say, all right, first is the base value, and it's biodiversity richness generally. But in addition to that, if certain species are thriving in that area, is guided mostly by the threatened species list of IUCN, then you deserve a bonus payment, because that means you're doing well. You're taking even better care. It's not only about those that are endemic to that area, you're also taking care of something that is an iconic species based on the world standards. All right. How we do this, we are collecting data, either via satellite imagery or camera traps, or what we call the smart apps that the game guards use when they go out for patrol. We bring this together on a secure cloud storage. We have been assisted by WWF and Deloitte UK to come up with a dashboard, an automated analysis of this data I'll show you just now, that you can quiz and query and visualize what happened during that particular period and determine that. That's the theory part. We're going to go to the practical part. Camera traps. A camera trap is set up in the field. It takes a picture of a lion as it passes by, right? And through artificial intelligence, we can determine that it's a lion. This is artificial intelligence. So for some reason, it still thinks 0.05% is a zebra or 0.02% it's actually, that's why it's artificial. It's not very intelligent actually after all. Okay, but it's effective anyway. The beauty is 96% accuracy rate, it's a lion, and for sure we know it's a lion. Over time it becomes even more, 99.9. It can never get to 100. It's a machine. So probably 99.9. All right. That's how we are using the camera trap side. A lot of imagery is then stored onto the cloud, and you can go and verify that indeed that animal was seen based on the photography that is dated as well. The satellite imagery on this side, at the beginning of a specific period, we're going to take image of a certain area. At the end, we're going to take the image of that same area. There's going to be a comparison, and you can see the red zones, areas that have been newly cleared, the blue zones regenerated since the last report. So you can track the performance in terms of at least the regeneration or clearing of land within a dedicated area. So if the community have really said we are dedicating this corridor and we're not going to farm, we're not going to clear it, if we take those two images and use the IT systems available to us, it's very easy to see and to track that, oh no, you're lying, you have cleared, so you have not performed. Or indeed, this area has been left to regenerate, you have performed. Also similarly, it's clear to see that, oh, the species are actually thriving in that area because we've got data that has been collected automatically. All right. That data is then set up on this, as I said, a dashboard that helps to check certain statistics. I've just taken one of the pages. So look at that, it says landing page yearly. And it shows you that in 2020, 2021, 2022, what was the number of species in a certain conservancy? So this has been set up mostly in the northwestern part of the country, sorry, northeastern part of the country, Zambezi, the conservancy is that area. You can tell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dots here. So some of this data is coming from here. The number of patrols, we'll talk about them now. So the smart app, the game guards are recording, they'll be able to tell you in this year what was the number of patrols, etc., etc. And then we'll be able to do an analysis. Conservancy currently cleared corridor area 31.7 hectares. Newly cleared land area 22 hectares. Regeneration, the 5.29 hectares. As you can see, this particular conservancy in this particular period of time have cleared more than has regenerated. Hence the negative trend here. So in this particular case, unfortunately, there is no performance. All right, it's practical, it happens. So you've got to take it over a bit of a longer term. This is yearly, assess the results and then determine, oh, have they actually paid? This is just but another page, so this is just quarterly statistics. So we can go from a year to a quarter, indicate pretty much similar things and see, oh, have they performed, have they not performed? All right. So we've taken these ones deliberately. Sometimes it's good to take the good side. Not to point on doom and gloom, but the question is, at the moment, the truth is we are losing some of our biodiversity. Okay. So we need to find ways of incentivizing and ensuring that we get value for that. We can look at species overall statistics. So what is the number of species? What is the number of animals? What are the type of animals in terms of the camera trap? So what did we really capture? And then graphically analyze them. Lions, elephants, black rhino, cheetah, hippo. In that area, what did we see? What did the camera trap see? Again, just more analysis, but this is more data based on the threatened species breakdown, because it's a significant indicator as well of what we're trying to build here. All right. As I said, there's quite a number of pictures behind it. It'll take elephant and sobe. On that, you can always go back and actually verify some of those pictures. Behind the dashboard is also, as I mentioned, which camera trap took what animal pictures. So there is traceability, and you can verify the performance, even in the absence of human intervention. Again, quick illustration of the use of the satellite imagery between two periods. Data around patrols has been brought together in this dashboard. Which conservancy it was, who the patrol leader was it a foot patrol, what date did it start, when did it end, what were the number of hours and the distance covered during that by the certain number of people in that patrol. So this is more a measure of the effort. You can relate that effort to the actual results. Similarly, based on the elements or the criteria of performance we have set and the values, the base values we have given, we'll be able to calculate the general indication of the value that we are supposed to pay for a certain performance. For example, performance value for an exclusive wildlife zone in Conservancy Bamunu. The ID, so this is just the area, what area it is, it's being given an ID. How big it is, it's this number of hectares. What is the base value factor? We discussed that base value factor previously, remember? $19.51 per hectare in this case. All right. What has been cleared? 5 hectares. So the adjusted value from this 3685 minus the 5 that has been cleared is 3680. All right. Performance value 71,000. The number of species cited based on the camera traps, not 5. Per species bonus is 2%. Total species bonus 5 times 2, 10. So we need to give them an additional 7,000, and then we determine for each of those areas what is the payment based on the science and the maths and the values that have been given before. So this is a prototype dashboard. We are working with quite a number of people, and I need to acknowledge those people. So basically the system works like this. We've got the conservancies and the community-based organizations driving the process. They literally own this resource. They've dedicated it for something. They are doing the data collection. All right. They are allowing us to even work in their land. The conservancies can show thriving wildlife and an intact wildlife habitat based on the satellite imagery and the camera traps and the smart app and any events book data, which is then fed into that Deloitte developed performance dashboard. We as CCFN recognize that performance, and from a funding pot we currently have, it's called National Wildlife Credit Scheme. There's actually quite a bit of money at the moment, it's about 10, 11 million to access and ensure that we have actually upscaled this. We make a payment on the performance. You have paid. However, we don't stop there. We then turn that performance into a verifiable certificate, a nature certificate. This is what we have done. This is the performance. And there is data and data points that can validate and verify that basis of performance. We are working with a company called Wadapt to then develop that certificate and put it on a nature-based market for resale to either philanthropists, bilateral funders, lovers of the environment, but even you and I. All right. Bank Windhoek is still here, I hope. Okay. Now here's the catch. There's a lot of greenwashing that has been going on, where a lot of companies will be given credit by banks and asked, they are supposed to show what they are doing in terms of environmental, social, or whatever other cases people are bringing up these days. All right. And there's a lot of funny things that people will report there. A lot. Which if you really go down into it and you really look, there's nothing of substance. Those of you who have been following even carbon credits, the latest development with carbon credits. I'm not an expert, but quite a lot of that is really just that, greenwashing or brownwashing, whatever you want to call it now. Okay. This is verifiable performance. Verifiable performance that shows that you have actually performed. More so, the payment is not going to an NGO. I'm part of an NGO, so my bosses might actually smack me a bit for it, but it's not going to an NGO. This payment is going back directly to the community members who are actually offering this service so that they continue to do the same and make sure it's sustainable in the long run and is contributing to an actual conservation outcome. That's just an illustration of the Wadapt platform and the certificates. Currently, if you go there are some Rhino certificates based on effort that are currently there. So you can actually purchase one and contribute. We have worked at CCFN with various people and we continue to work with various people. We are open to continue to work with various people. I have to give acknowledgement to the communities and conservancies themselves. They are the ones who actually approve some of these products. Oh, we are interested. We want to dedicate our land as a wildlife corridor. We want to tolerate lions in our area. All right, they'll get my cow here and there, but I'm not going to kill it. All right, and therefore, we need to acknowledge that. WWF has been quite supportive financially and technically. We have quite a lot of funding from KFW towards the initial funding. The German corporation, we're funding from Lion Recovery Fund. We are working with a various number of institutions, including NAST. So that dashboard I was talking about was actually developed in conjunction and with meetings weekly, daily with one of the guys from NAST as well. All right. So there's a lot of consultations going on, And as I mentioned, we're also working with WANAPT. In a nutshell,